Space Daddy, unless you got this up here. Okay, we're trying to provide some disclosure. All right, try to set this up. I'm going to crash it. I'm going to close that. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'll get it working. You can hear him right now in the background. Hold on, let me change it to non. You can hear it in the background. That's my friend's Space Doomer Daddy.
I'm wondering whether you're willing to consider adding to your strategy. And I'm hoping my question is making sense, and my question is for both of you, Steve Bassett and Jason Sands.
Okay, good luck, Doomer.
Again, Jason, this is his, because Jason is the lead person here and the one that was set up for. I defer to him to answer first.
Yes, Jason. Yes, Jason first. So, are you ready to go to the dark side, my friend?
Well, I guess in a way I'm a dark side, but you guys, I just want to caveat that with, yes, I understand what I signed up for when I got read in with my responsibility.
All right, I'll try to get this working, guys. Hold on.
But at the same time,
oh, looking good, Case. Wow. Okay, that's my friend. Personal stuff. Okay.
That's also my responsibility to be the whistleblower, and that's what I've done. Okay. And to get to the question that Doomer has for me and Steve, I'm all ears. I've talked to a lot of leadership, a lot of people in Congress, the committee members, you name it. I want
that's what I was responding to, but just my friend.
Brainstorming.
Okay, let's get back to the program now.
What does that mean? How do we define it? What's attainable this year?
Okay.
And what's something
sorry,
that's going to get us down the path?
You're immortalized now. All right, so awkward. Okay.
Like in addition to whatever
it takes a good picture. That's what I'm saying. All right.
But, it's going to involve some government entity that are going to need to hear what we have to say.
All right. Let's see if we can get the space working again. I refreshed it. This is glitchy software. It's not my fault. I promise you. I'm even trying to make a new social media just so we can do space today. So I'm trying.
Well, I'm always going to be an admirer of people with passion and eloquence addressing this issue.
See, it's not letting me do the space.
People with passion and eloquence that have been involved in every activist.
I know. It's excuse me. We did this together.
You're getting into some really deep stuff, important stuff.
Okay, you're all over my
books. Will easily be written to answer points you've raised. But let me
get to my space.
I'm a student. My heroes are the activists. We all have our heroes. Mine are activists. They're the ones at the top of my list. The people that have championed.
Someone said I was their hero today, and it was a beautiful woman.
And the 20th century has had.
Just kidding. It was a extremely beautiful woman. That's great.
And I include even
wasn't that one? It was different.
Which is a massive activist movement. But we have
Okay,
seen
why can't I get this
extraordinary
fucking thing to
events
work?
taking place in these.
No one likes my art. 13 likes and this
about
adorable
75
anime. I
years.
guess it's too
75 to 80
touchy-feely.
years.
You don't
When
like
you're
my
talking about
aesthetic
women's
today?
rights, civil
Fine.
rights, gay rights,
I
you
won't
name it,
bother making you
whatever.
art.
They
I'm
tend to
grateful,
last a
people.
long time, and they always last too long.
Okay, let's try it again.
They get frustrated and they get mad.
Fingers crossed. Let's go, baby.
and
Let's
they
go.
reach
If I
a
make
point
the screen the
when
right
they reach
size
certain
and hit
points of either
reconnect.
they walk away or women's rights,
Okay.
civil rights change. They may change their
Can you hear it?
approach.
Sweethearts,
And
can
I
you hear
get that. And I'm not going to ever criticize
Beautiful people.
anybody for that.
Right.
However, activism is not easy.
All right.
And trying to change
Chat. Let me know if it's
worldviews
functioning
at the level
properly.
we're talking
And I'll
about
shut up so you can hear from
is
our elders,
incredibly
Steve
difficult.
Bassett and Jason Sand.
The civil rights movement was basically simply about changing the worldview of people. People had a certain worldview about how they saw race and other people who were different, and they institutionalized it with laws, et cetera, and a whole lot of bad things happened. And it took from 1875 to 1964 just to get a Civil Rights Act, 4 more years to get a Voting Rights Act. And along the way, a lot of people got pretty mad, and people were killed. There were riots. There was bloodshed. Things got blown up. And that's true of other movements as well. This movement is extraordinary for a number of things, but one of the things that's most extraordinary, as far as I know, referring to the movement, the activism involved in the speaking truth to power and getting truth to the government, I am not aware of a single act of violence by a single activist or researcher in this field ever.
I pay a lot for this software too.
Now, people say, well, yeah, the nature of the thing, it's so esoteric and complex, intellectual, whatever. It doesn't involve things like, seeing your kid come back from a war you didn't want him in a body bag. No, but it's still an important movement, not a single
so gently getting into
that
the
doesn't mean
political
we're not getting
conversation, which is
frustrated.
amazing. That's the power of UFOs, baby.
And a number of things have happened in the last year that easily have taken people to the edge. My job as an activist, I have several things as an activist that I'm supposed to do.
So can I get in the space, buddy? That's
one of them is never give up hope. 2, try to explain things to regular people. People cannot invest their time and effort in learning all about this.
It only has
but still,
the
they're going to
TDs
be
guy or
affected
the
by it.
Tittles
Need
guy
to know. Try to
and the Metabook
explain
guy.
what's
Those are two
going on
trolls,
as
and
best as possible to make it understandable.
So you're not on the
all right.
You're not on the list of news.
2,
so you should try again.
Constantly
maybe restart your system.
Point out that there is a prize at the end of this race, just as there was for the women's rights movement and all the other activist movements.
So many recordings going on.
And define that prize. That's why I came up with the idea of this capital D disclosure, which is a little confusing. I know.
Bit,
but it is the
next
prize.
Recording starts now.
The Civil Rights Act had the Civil Rights Movement had to have a Civil Rights Act, and they knew.
Oh, we're losing Steve.
Okay, I lost him. How about you guys?
Yeah, I can't hear Steve. Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah,
compadre?
lost him.
You need to be gently recycled, man. All right. Well,
Totally.
he knows what to do. He will hopefully at some point realize that we can't hear him. And there he goes. See, he's been through this.
Mello, what a space. I have a follow-up too. This is fantastic.
Thank you. UFO Sarah was
Jason.
our beautiful muse. I was going to just maybe do what I was supposed to do today, but UFO Sarah had this whole thing. We started out, the whole Logan Paul story. With Logan Paul, you're still wanted here, but, we have plenty of interesting people if you're busy. But you should join in the conversation. Let us know what's going on with the videos is where we started. But then we upgraded to Jason Sands.
You are back, Steve.
Doom, are you with us, buddy?
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't know if you could hear Steve.
I could not.
I'm back now, I think.
Oh, hey.
Am I not
Yeah,
back?
okay. We are good.
Okay. I apologize for this, folks. It's my cell phone. I have a Moto G. It's a piece of crap, and it cuts me out, and it's just the way it is. And when I go long, this happens. But I was saying something very important. Let me see if I can finish that. They had to have the Civil Rights Act, and it had to be signed by the president and passed by Congress. It couldn't be just the people got together and said, "Oh, well, everybody of color in this country has now got a civil rights thing." No, it had to be formal. It had to be an act. The same thing for the Voting Rights Act. Same thing for declaring war. People just can't together and say, "Look, we're going to declare war against the country. Let's all get some arms and go fight them." No, it has to be declared by the Congress of the United States. When you're talking about things at this level, these things have to be formalized. And so I came up with the idea of capital D disclosure being the confirmation by the president, which in so many ways is absolutely essential to being able to really move forward on this as the prize. This is what we're shooting for. If you get that prize, a whole lot of good things are going to happen. Without a defined prize, without a clear end to at least something like that, people are going to not be able, they're not going to give their time. They're not going to risk their life. They're not going to devote years and years. They need to have this. And that's why I came up with the idea of capital disclosure. That's not the same as post-disclosure. It's not the same if all the disclosing will happen under the legislation and everything else after the confirmation of it. I also felt and made the point that confirmation from a president almost had to be preceded by legislation and hearings in which key witnesses could come forward in front of the world and give testimony, thus setting up a nonpartisan act. So I tried to lay out the process, all right? And so I'm still sticking with that. I still think that's the way it has to be. Now, it's been delayed. It's been undermined. It's been crazy. But we've never been closer to a confirmation by the president. We've never been closer to that prize than we are today. More has happened in the last 7 years than in the previous 70. And more has happened in the last year than in the previous 6. And yet, when you get close
VC,
to that prize, and this has happened in other activist movements, and then you get that pushback,
I guess it's UFO Sarah.
the frustration, the anger, and despair is even greater. Oh, we were so close. How can you step in?
It's her, and
so I understand how you feel, but I can say with high confidence.
Okay, there's some suspicions there.
I know enough that
but,
the legislative process is going to go through. That Warner wants to have a hearing, but he wants first-hand witnesses.
You can DM me about it.
There are some available, but the ones he wants firsthand are not available because they don't think the witness protection laws are strong enough, and we can't get more legislation there yet. And so there's kind of a standoff going on, and yet that's what's happening. And we have legislation still being submitted in the House and the Senate. You've still got members of the House going forward in front of cameras and saying, yeah, there's ETs here. You've got organizations forming all over the place, UAP Disclosure Fund, SOUL, the New Paradigm Institute. They're happening so fast I can't keep up. And so I'm suggesting we're actually winning. This is actually working out pretty well. But
okay, so Steve, let's say I don't want you to stop in all of the legislative stuff, and let's just accept that we disagree on the winning part, because I think Arrow was an expression of ostentatiousness, of getting sloppy, of the serial killer taking his face mask off. I don't think it's a good sign. But let's just say it's academic. Let's put that to the side. Can we also throw the kitchen sink at this problem? And let's say maybe I'm wrong in one parallel universe, maybe I'm right in the other. Can we also just get everybody on the fucking space, like Sheehan, Elizondo, Grush, get them all on X account, put off. I know you're out there. He has an account, he's just not posting. Can we just make this fucking uncomfortable? If it doesn't need to be,
you're welcome to check it out on YouTube and Twitch and whatever else.
I want to ship.
Sometimes they do it on LinkedIn too, but they probably think it's weird.
Can we meet somewhere in the middle of the shift and the
ufology
shit?
is not really mainstream business,
is it? Having some sort of a storm, because I'm saying yes, and I'm not saying you're wrong. You need to stop what you're doing. There's when we went straight, our guy John Strader on the streets. He's known as Stray Bay. He was in Contact in the Desert, and although several people might be pregnant because they all shared earpods or AirPods, we're deeply grateful to him because he got Dolan in a space. Dolan had never been in a space. Like, why isn't everybody in the Hollywood Alliance doing what Steve Bassett is doing? Why aren't they dooming hard? Why aren't they disclosuring hard? Why aren't they love and lighting hard? Because we want those actors, we want those celebrities, and they, in a healthy way, some of them are narcissists in the healthy way, and they love our attention. When Dolan found out he was on a space, he was like, oh my goodness, like, can people see my pimples? He had never been on a space, on an X space, and he loved it. You know, you have some Hollywood actors there, they loved it. Why can't we do both? Because nobody knows about this issue, and you don't have a Civil Rights Act without protests on the street. You don't even have you don't have Martin Luther King without Malcolm X. And you also don't have any success unless you risk the child being attacked by the dogs and that being captured by the press. And we are invisible, and we absolutely do not have to be. Can we do both?
Well, I think, first of all, this is a huge movement in a sense. I mean, it was never, it hasn't been a movement really until, boy, doesn't really get started as a what I call a defined movement until after the year 2000. Up until then, it was not that. It was basically I don't know, kind of a citizen research project.
I'm editing a
that
documentary
had been completely
simultaneously. I wish I could share that part of the
ghettoized
screen
by
with
the
you,
government.
but the audio
So the
will
movement is
screw
really
it up.
only 25
Here,
years
let
old.
me fix it real quick.
Secondly, when you're talking about this complicated a thing and all the people involved, the idea that somebody's going to have the power to make everybody do
You can
this
hear
or
it in the
everybody
background,
do
actually. Yeah,
that,
that's the documentary
that's,
marking.
that's not going to happen.
This is
Right?
part with Steve Bassett interview.
We don't have a Martin Luther King, and even somebody in this movement with that level of stature and that influence, and even with Martin Luther King, if you look at the civil rights
Left that
movement,
thing
it
on
was
the screen all the
fractioned.
time.
There was competing entities. There was plenty of conflict and so forth. And there were a lot of people that weren't on the same page. And so to expect that somehow we can do that. However, if you look at the totality of what's going on, you have plenty of very important people coming together and making things happen. And so when Soul Foundation is set up by Gary Nolan, it's basically a scientific think tank with some high-level people in it. That's really significant, right? That's happening. And then the New Paradigm Institute has gotten a lot of money, and they're ripping like you wouldn't believe. They're moving so fast I can't keep up with them. And then you've got a 501c4 political action, basically a political funding entity called the UAP Disclosure Fund that comes out of nowhere. That's taking off. And so plenty of people are doing important things. And so I'm not in a position to just herd them around like you need to do this, you need to do that. But, you know, I'd never done a Twitter space until not too long ago. Now I have. So does Richard, right? Can I go out and get 100 people to do that? It's not that easy.
I'm so grateful you can, and we're going to help you. You are in that position. Jason Sands is in that position. Sheen is in that position. You absolutely are. You're undervalued. So I'm going to milk. I'm sorry. I'm just going to
Yes,
well,
and I'm
look,
I also want to add on to this really quick is that you're saying all of these wonderful things about all these historic movements, but we are in 2024. And we are in a new world. And so walking the streets with picket signs is not the way to go right now.
I agree.
And so what we are trying to say here, while we have your ear, is that when, I don't know about you, but over this past summer, have you gone out? Have you gone to like a barbecue? Have you gone to a boardwalk and looked around at hundreds of people around you? They are not interested in UFOs. But they're all over social media, aren't they? My family is not interested in UFOs. All the people I've been around and going in and out of bars and restaurants on vacations, traveling all around this United
There's so many things
States,
going on.
they are not interested in UFOs. But who is interested in UFOs is us, and we can help push the thought, and we don't want the money. This isn't for money. What we want is to help push this into ears and people that don't know about it. And that's what Doomer is saying. And spaces is the future. And that's why John Strader, God bless his heart, was out there. He was out there doing it for us, introducing Richard Nolan to us, who have been a roughly 2,000 community of people that really have been studying and reading, and we talk about this every day. We
just lie and say it's 10,000. We have to do something like here.
I don't know how many thousand, but that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this.
Well, the fact is that space
1 to 2% to push things, and that is us.
Okay. I hear silence. Does this mean it's time for Brother Larry, perhaps? And then good to see you, Experience. We'll get to you.
I'm gonna drop down just in case that fixes the bug. Steve, I don't know if you're talking and we can't hear you. And thanks for letting me come up. And sorry for grandstanding. But you've had you and UFO Sarah Nostral, you've done but an amazing job here.
Okay, well, we'll come back, Doomer. If you're going to take a stand, it might as well be a grand one. So I expect no less than your usual self.
The problem is on my end, folks. It's not you, it's me. And I got to get another phone. Forgive me. But the point I'm making is that sometimes you got to know when you're winning. The number of spaces that are being done on Twitter is massive. It's so much that there's so many, it's sometimes going on at the same time that they interfere. The amount of social media that the UFO issue is commanded over the decades is massive. It's everywhere, right? So we're winning. Now, can it get more massive? Absolutely. The fact that we don't want to confuse people caring about the UAP issue and disclosure and being aware of it. The number of people that are aware of the UAP issue is probably in the 95% percentile of the world's people. That doesn't mean they care about it. It means they're aware of it. The number of people that are aware about the disclosure process now in the United States has exponentially increased over the last number of years. And again, one of my things is the print media archive, which I encourage people to go to Paradigm Research Group and check out under resources. Last year, 1,800 articles, most ever, were logged into that site. It's over 15,000. This year slowed down, but it's still going to be about 1,200 articles. I'm logging them all in and reading them all. I have a pretty good idea of how much interest there is and so forth in this issue in the media space. And it's unprecedented. In other words, folks, we're winning, and sometimes it's hard to accept that. We are winning, but we're not tolerating being pushed back or having any setbacks at this point. That doesn't mean we're not near the finish line. In football, there are teams that can go up down the field from their own 0-yard line to the 20, but they didn't make it. And a lot of them recently. They just didn't live long enough to see this prize won. And so, in my simplistic way of approaching this, I've defined what I think it takes to get confirmation from the head of state. I've tried to define, and Danny and others have tried to define, then what would happen and what needs to happen after the confirmation, and what Richard Dolan came to call the post-disclosure world, which is what it'll be, the post-disclosure world. History may even be measured from that day. In other words, the pre-disclosure world is good. And that's a whole nother set of 1,000 issues and organizations and everything else. But boy, I can't wait to get there. But these last weeks and months are going to be tough. And given everything that's happening in the world while we're trying to wrap this up, it's doubly tough. And people's emotions are high, their frustrations are high. They're not willing to, anything happens, they get pretty angry. I got pretty upset with that Arrow report. I got really upset with that Arrow report. In fact, I said some stupid things in an interview or two, and then I calmed down. All right. I had to step back, trying to understand how complex this process is, how many institutions and people are involved in it, how many oxes are being gored, and all the other things that are going on, and try to see how it's still going to go forward. This is my job as an activist, to try to clarify so that people can keep focused as much as possible. I can't solve everything. I don't have great power, right? I'm no Martin Luther King, but I am an activist devoted to this exclusively. And so in a space like this, what I'm trying to say to you right now is, look, this is the picture I see. These are the aspects of it. And hang in there, right? Because we actually are winning. And if I didn't think we were winning, I'd say so. If I thought the Arrow report was like the Condor report, we're fucked, right? This is it. Shut everything down. 10 years from now, we'll look at it again. I just said so. No, this is the
I think we lost him again. I know that Pix is right after because he has been waiting, jumping in and out of the space because nothing is working for him. So if you guys don't mind if whenever we get Steve back.
Yeah, if I could real quickly, can you hear me, Sarah? Can y'all hear me?
I can.
Yeah? No? Maybe? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll be as quick as I can. Steve, thanks for being here. Good to see you. I agree with you. A whole lot of progress has been made, but I don't agree with you that the president, admitting that we're not alone is going to constitute big D disclosure. I think disclosure you say post disclosure, that's real disclosure, but that's another issue. I want to go back to what Jason was talking about, and thank God for Jay Justin for questions, because she's always good with questions, and she's asked the core question: what are we going to do tonight on this issue? Jason laid it out. Have to have a very defined set of goals. I've said time and time again, we're not alone. She's pushes. We do not agree on what we're pushing